All right, today I'm at the house of Cody Sheppard, Swamplife Reptiles. Follow him on Instagram and Facebook, and he also has a podcast. What the Shell is the name of the podcast, and so here we are at his house. We're gonna check out some of his setups. He has a lot of really cool stuff, like Diamondback terrapins, Florida box turtles. It's gonna be really cool. So follow with me, and we're gonna let Cody kind of show me around a little bit.
All right, how you doing, guys? Today we'll start with my Florida box turtles. Greg, you can feel free to pick them up as much as you want, man.
Look at that little nugget.
I believe I have a 1.2 group, so that's 1 male, 2 females. I believe that's a female. You're probably better at sexing box turtles than I am.
It looks like a female. Yeah, it's hard when they're small like this. I mean, they can throw you for a loop.
This is the one I think is a male.
Oh yeah, you can see there's definitely like a concave difference happening there.
Yeah, man.
Really cool. They're super pretty, super radiant.
Yeah, this is the one I told you about that had escaped, bro. This was my first one. This is Speedy. He went through that fence behind us and was like buried in one of the pillars against their wall. But yeah, so this is Groot, this is Bugs, and this is Speedy.
Very cool. Now, tell me about their setup and like how you set it up.
All right, so originally I've tried to keep them for the most part in a semi-aquatic, like 50-50 setup.
Right.
But they escaped when their setup over flooded when it rained.
Right.
And so I went to the Daytona National Breeders Expo to get a waterland tub, and so I really wanted something that had water and land. So I have seeds planted. They haven't started growing yet, so I hope to get it more planted. But I really wanted them to have a water side. Surprisingly, they spend most of their time in the water. And I mean, It is hot here in Florida. You can feel the water. I flood out the water daily to keep it cool. I haven't done it yet today. But that was the main thing. Like even talking to Jordan down there that's doing the work in Southwest Florida, he was like, he's finding a lot of Florida box turtles in the water.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure they always had a water side to it.
Yeah, they spend a surprising amount of time in the water.
Yeah.
Gulf Coast, Florida's, even Easterns will actually spend a lot of time in the water, and it seems they feel a lot safer in there. And then having raised a few myself, I've noticed that if they spend a lot of time in the water, they get like much better like shell growth. They tend to have a better appetite and be more active.
So if you see this one's shell, they had these spots on them when I got them. It's more evident in what I think is the male. Like these spots in here.
Yeah, I see that.
And his shell was also flared up, which I was told is from a lack of humidity and moisture. Right. And so it's finally starting to go down, you know, because it was kicked up. You can kind of see it here, but it was all the way around. Whereas she's like way more, you know, I guess how they should be.
Right.
He tends to be on land. He's the one that likes the land most.
Okay. So cool. I like this setup. I like that you've got like, you know, the aquatic plants in the water, and then it, you know, comes up and they've got some logs and stuff to hide under. I know that like, you know, my Gulf Coast and when I've kept Florida box turtles, they would always be like underneath a log or in the water. Right
down there is like their go-to spot that I tried to create for them. Out at my school, we got some like palm trees that the branches just fell. So like tomorrow I'm gonna bring some and cover it over. One thing that I wanted to do was I didn't want to make the water too deep, so I put these like a layer of gravel. Well, these are like pond rocks in the bottom, right? Just to keep it, you know, like leveled out kind of. And so that was one thing I really wanted to do for it.
No, it works.
Yeah, man.
So you have some Central American stuff we can see?
Yeah, man. I got some Central American wood turtles. So it's a 1.1 pair. Let's see which one this is. This is the female. You want to pick her up or you want me to?
You can pick her up.
All right. This is the female. She is currently nameless.
Okay. And now these are the Central American woods, also sometimes called ornate woods.
Yeah, painted wood turtles.
Painted wood.
Yeah, it's crazy how many names they actually have, bro. Let me see if I can find the male. You might be able to see him. So a lot of people were like, wow, that's probably too deep for them. But without a current, as you can see, there's no filter on it right now. Yeah. They seem to do well. There's also 2 huge logs in here. Yeah. Plenty of rocks. And they seem to do fine. This is the male. Okay. So he's darker. That's honestly.
Yeah. You can see the difference in the color. Kind of a difference in shape. You can tell she's going to actually grow to be more round and he'll be kind of more elongate.
Yeah, I think they're beautiful.
Really beautiful.
This is the first time I've worked with the Central American wood turtles, or really any Central American species of turtle.
And it's funny because for a long time you would see these in PetSmart for like 20 or 30 bucks.
Yeah.
And they were just like kind of a cheap turtle, and I don't know what they go for now, but I think they're absolutely beautiful and they're really easy to keep.
There's a lot of versatility, so a lot of people keep them like full terrestrial box turtles. Some keep them semi-aquatic. Most of the people I spoke to had more success keeping them in water.
Yeah.
And so that's why, and it was the only setup I had available.
Right.
I really got them in a trade, so I wasn't like out looking for them.
Right.
But a friend of mine here in town wanted an Indian spotted turtle from me, and she traded me these two for the Indian spotted turtle. So I was like,
right.
All right, well. Yeah, man, you want to see the other stuff?
Sure.
There's Indian spotted. Let's see if we can find him.
I think I saw it in this corner. Let's see.
Yep, right there.
Where is it?
Right there.
Yep. Oh, gotcha. Look at that pretty little nugget. That is unbelievable.
Maybe you'll change your mind.
What a pretty turtle. They're so unique too, like that shape and just the overall appearance and everything.
I think it's like
unbelievable.
I think they like are fancy musk turtles when they're this size. That's what they look like to me. They look like a super fancy musk turtle.
It does resemble like a musk turtle, which is kind of interesting. It also reminds me a little bit of the snail-eating turtles in Thailand. Now these guys will actually get really big. They'll get over about
they say
12 to 15 inch or something like that.
Like huge cooters?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you get like the size of like a large river cooter. And I've seen adults at zoos and aquariums, and they're really impressive. And they retain these awesome looking keels down the back as well. You were saying these are juvenile ornates?
Yeah.
Okay.
These are juvenile ornates. You a Star Wars fan by chance?
Yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan.
All right, this is Yoda.
Okay.
Crazy shell, as you can see.
Yeah, it kind of has like an extra scute thing going on.
Yeah, bro, it's like all the way across. He's also a flowerback.
Now explain the flowerback.
All right, so I'm by no means an expert on the flowerback, but as you can see on the scutes, you can see that flowering pattern. Some of them are a lot brighter. I'll show you when we go over to my pond.
Right.
One of the bright females I have. But you can see his scutes are a lot different than a non-flowerback. So she has some algae, but you'll see the scute difference.
So it's almost like when people talk about like the marbling and like cherry heads.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So it's like marbling, but for Diamondback terrapins.
So I'm no expert, but I don't think anyone has figured out like genetically how to prove them out. Like if I put a flowerback with a flowerback, am I going to get all flowerbacks? Or, you know, like this one was produced by a turtle that wasn't a flowerback.
Right.
What's funny is this one's parent had bold spots on it, and the male had a spotless head.
Right.
But one thing I noticed when I hatched some ornates last year is there's so much variability in the clutches. Like they all look different.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love how like built up their shells are too. They just have like such a sturdy looking shell.
This is my favorite one. This is Casper.
That thing's crazy looking.
Yeah. So I can tell that his setup has a little too much fresh water because right here on the shell you can see the way Jordan Gray likes to describe it, it's kind of like toenail fungus that'll sometimes start to grow on especially younger ones. Whenever the water is highly brackish, it doesn't happen.
Right.
But it's been raining a lot lately, so this tank, I gotta add some salt to it.
Okay.
It's not a super serious health concern, but in terms of visibility, some people don't like it.
So do you, in your experience, I know a lot of people do freshwater, a lot of people do brackish. In your opinion, with Diamondback terrapins, are you better off to just go for brackish?
So when I first started with terrapins, I was strictly fresh, and my biggest concern was that it was harder to do brackish.
Right.
But I'll admit it's harder to do fresh.
Okay.
Because the amount of skin fungus problems and shell problems you get from fresh water.
Yeah.
Like, I'll show you a terrapin that's been in brackish water, and there's not a problem on her.
Yeah.
But as soon as I put her in fresh, you know.
Let's check out the other ones. We're kind of trying to beat the rain a little bit.
Oh yeah, man, go ahead.
So tell me about this setup.
All right, so this setup, I originally dug in the stock tank. It was supposed to be all the way dug in. That didn't work out. I wanted something naturalistic, so I have these huge driftwood pieces. I also have this water lettuce to keep it covered, to help with filtration. So underneath, this is a tree stump that has branches going out that the terrapins actually like to bunker down in. They could probably sense it's about to rain. If you want to help me look for some, we can get some of them out. There's 5 in here.
Okay. I found one.
I found one too, but she... All right,
look at that.
That's a flowerback. That is my flowerback female. That's Bumpers.
This thing is crazy looking. Look at that. What a crazy looking diamondback terrapin.
Oh yeah, she's beautiful.
She's got like a chunky little head too.
Yeah, she does. And you see that little bump on her head? She had an abscess that had to be removed.
Okay.
So that's why her name's Bumpers.
Bumpers?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. It's interesting the kind of dorsal spines too. Reminds me of the map turtles.
So this is my biggest
that's
female.
The biggest one.
This is Meg. She's a concentric female.
Okay.
So she's getting treated for some skin fungus, and if she sticks out her leg, you can see it on her foot right here.
Yeah.
It's not the hardest to deal with, but again, when you keep them in fresh water, it's a problem that you have. You'll see the Mississippi's right there. Okay. They're just swimming around. So concentric female, Mississippi female. Okay. Look very similar in terms of spotting, but also very different when you look at the crown of their head.
Yeah.
Versus just the dark diamond, cow spotting, bold patterns. Okay. Let me see if I can get her to stick out her foot. Well, she doesn't want to participate, but you can kind of see it right.
Yeah.
There. That's the skin fungus they'll get from being in fresh water. Okay. They get it on their limbs first, and then it moves to their head. This is my pair of concentrics. Okay. He was actually white, so he has a terrapin sunburn. Okay. As you can see, he's kind of darker.
So a lot of sun will kind of make them turn that dark color?
Yeah, they turn a dark color. So this is a pair. This is my concentric pair.
It's a cool setup. I really like the driftwood, the water lettuce. It's very natural, and then I guess that's sand on the bottom.
Yeah, I put sand on the bottom. That was after watching one of your videos, and you're like, bro, just the male's right there if you want to grab him.
That tiny guy?
Yeah.
This one?
Nope, over.
This one?
Right down. Yep.
This guy.
Yep, okay. That's my male ornate. He's my oldest male.
Wow.
That's Bowser. And he seems to be doing fine. So I got him, if you look at the bottom of the shell, he has some bad shell rot right here.
Oh yeah, I see that.
2 years and it's still not fully covered.
Right.
It takes a long time for this to heal. But he's doing good. You don't see any skin fungus on him.
Right.
So that's why I say some do well in fresh, some don't. This winter I'm gonna turn it totally brackish so I can keep them outside. Okay. All right, so since it's raining, you wanna move to the indoor stuff? Sure, man.
We're gonna get rained on, so. Typical Florida.
I'll take this with me. I'll say.
Great, so first tell me what tank this is, because this is such an interesting tank, because I mean that's only, what, 8-10 inches high?
So they're made by Zoomed. They're called Zoomed Lowboys. Okay. They're 50 gallons. They sell 3 different options. Right. What I had to do was go on and contact Zoomed directly, and they responded in about 2 days of where I could find a place that sells them near me. And there's 3 places near me that sells them. They're really pretty awesome, and everybody that I've seen that uses them for turtles loves them. I think it's perfect for keeping spotted indoors. I mean, these guys are flourishing.
For this type of turtle, you know, it obviously doesn't need to be high, but it also gives you a really good footprint.
And everybody who sees this tank is like, oh, that's awesome, where can I get one? Yeah. I believe they're about 160.
160 for one of these tanks?
Yeah, around 160 to 200 is what I've been quoted. But yeah, so I got this driftwood. They at one point were in my waterland tub. Right. But I wasn't confident based on the water depth. I didn't know how they were doing in there, and I wanted them to be inside where I could check on them. Right. So I have this, then I have the live plants, which they've eaten about all of them. I have to order some more.
What kind of plants are those?
Hogwort. Is that what? Okay, hogwort. Yeah. I had anacris in here, but you don't see anymore because they've eaten it.
Okay, so they do like to eat anacris. Okay.
Yeah, so they've definitely been eating the plants. One thing I like, and I'm glad you told me about it, was using the rocks and the sand kind of in levels. Yeah. I love watching them forage, man. Like,
yeah, one thing I really like too is the rocks kind of keep the sand pinned down so it doesn't go up into your like filtration either.
Yeah.
So having that gravel over the sand kind of holds it down, and the layers just are so much nicer.
I mainly feed them Missouri and then worms.
Okay.
That's their main diet. So like you saw, I had shrimp and smelt. That's for the terrapins. I feed them and the musk turtles worms.
Okay.
The musk turtles will eat shrimp occasionally. I'll feed it to them.
Yeah.
So with the number of terrapins I'm trying to feed, and like you saw the size of that big girl. Yeah. These guys seem to like the worms a little bit better, and I feel like they're probably more natural to what they would be eating.
Right.
Based on their environment.
Yeah, they seem to kind of react to worms like the same way that like box turtles do. Like,
yeah, man. Like, look, he's going.
You're going
2 for 1. They're about to hit 2 on 1.
Now, how long have you had your spotted turtles?
So they're a year old. I got them a year ago, around. I actually got them the weekend before the Daytona Expo last year. So with this species, I've been told the males are really relentless, and so I didn't want 2 males in here with 3 females because the males will mature a lot quicker. Yeah. And so I think my biggest one is actually the male. I'm gonna reach over you. I think this is my male.
Okay. That's a pretty long little tail there too. He's got the worm hair.
So if you see that tail, and then like I show you one, I think that's a female in terms of the width of the tail.
Yeah. I can kind of see it.
I mean, granted, they're different sizes.
Yeah.
But another thing they told me, and by they I mean people that breed them, the plastron tends to be darker.
Right. Okay. So males tend to be darker. I know that I've heard the same thing, that the females in spotted turtles tend to be prettier than the males.
Yeah.
Whereas like box turtles, wood turtles, it's kind of the opposite. Dude, they're all really pretty because I wouldn't even call that like it's almost like a peach.
Yeah.
Like a pink color.
Apparently they differ by their localities too.
Okay.
So that's apparently cool. These are originally like the South Carolina localities. So then I have my red mangroves here. Okay. That I've been growing. They all started off as small propagules, I believe is the proper term. And so this is an indoor grow light that I have on them. Okay. And they seem to grow the best with that. So it's a dual bowl. So there's a UVB bowl, and there's an indoor grow light on there. I mist them daily, so I have the spray bottle here. Right. And they seem to do really well. There's one over there that looks like it's dying in the far corner, and that's because it was inside in a tank and the turtle uprooted it, and it took me a day or 2 to realize it. Yeah. So I brought it back out here to relax. And this is my mangrove diamondback terrapin. Okay. Some people overseas will say she's ugly, but that's all right. She's still a mangrove diamondback terrapin, and she's still my favorite. So she got really sick in freshwater. She was in the pond outside where she stopped eating. I had to take her to the vet. And I mean, really, when I put her back in brackish water, she got her color back. She had turned white. Yeah. I mean, you can look at her. She is not a white turtle. Yeah. It's almost like what Chris Leone was saying, is that, you know, he had a hard time with freshwater. He had a hard time keeping them outdoors, but then bringing them back and putting them in tubs and indoors, like, in controlled environment, they tend to pop back up and do better. I mean, look at her shell. And then she's been in brackish most of her life. This summer was the first time she was in freshwater. Right. When she got sick. And so, I mean, you know, like, the growth lines on these scutes are insane. So the breeder that sold her to me said she was captive bred 2016. Yeah. So the captive bred terrapin shells usually look different. But her shell is pretty insane. That's super clean growth. I mean, it's a really pretty turtle. Now, what separates a mangrove diamondback terrapin from the others? All right, so there's 2 general localities of mangroves. There's the northern keys and the southern keys. Okay. The northern keys tend to have markings more like this. The southern keys tend to look more like a concentric. So they'll be either gray or blue, but they have really bold markings, and those are the ones that are heavily poached. Okay. Just because of how beautiful they are. So like you can see here, she doesn't have the bold spotting. I mean, she kind of does, but on the side of her face, some think it's because they're closest in location to the ornates. They share some common areas down near Everglades National State Park. And so there's some belief that they've, over time, created some natural intergrades.
Right.
So I don't have a mangrove male, and there's not very many people in the U.S. that have them. And you know, there's a lot of belief that has to do with like climate change down in the Keys.
Beautiful turtle.
Yeah, man. I think that's everything, man.
Cool. Well, awesome, man. So, do you want to plug, you know, what you do as far as podcasts, YouTube videos?
I just mess with turtles and touch my face.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So I have a podcast. I'd love if you guys would go and watch it. It's called What the Shell Podcast. We live stream to Facebook and YouTube. We don't get a lot of views on YouTube. Most of the views come from Facebook, honestly. You can find that on Swamplife Reptiles on Facebook. It's a page. We live stream there. Or Swamplife Reptiles on YouTube. I also have an Instagram account at Swamplife Reptiles. Something that I'm working on is I'm a school teacher, and so a passion of mine is kind of building that education and awareness on Florida species. I love the Florida species of turtles. I'm born and raised in Florida, and so I like to get that education out, especially with my students, kids, and people that just don't know. And so like that's really important to me, honestly.
Cool, man. Thank you for showing me around.
No, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, had a good time. And thank you guys for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And make sure you follow Cody at Swamplife Reptiles, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And I'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace out, guys.